Anybody there? Okay. I don't know how to see who's there. Hi, Linda. And Barry. Nice. Okay. Just set myself up here and we'll start in a few minutes. Okay. I'm live, Lisa. All right. Just waiting for a couple more people. They're trying to see me on. Let's try it again. Yeah. Okay. Just give me 1 second. Are you guys on? I don't know why you can't see me. Okay, give me a sec. Okay. Anybody else on there? Oh, good. Thanks, Josh. Lisa and Edith were typing me saying that they can see me, so hopefully they found it now. Josh, am I on the PSP or the health promotion site? Okay, she found me. Hi, Lisa. Good. All right. Okay. So my name is Ginette Boudreau, and I am the health promotion specialist in Greenwood, here in Greenwood. Fairly new into my position. This is my first, real presentation on injury prevention. My background is in kinesiology, so it is something that I am familiar with. But doing this on the computer is 100% brand new to me. So please bear with me. This presentation has been put together by Strengthening the Forces. This is material that has been studied. There's thousands of citations that have been done. This is researched information and is geared towards our Canadian military population. But not to say that you can't use it at home or within your sports events or even incorporate it with your children. And having said that, this information is property of military of DND, and it's not to be recorded or to be shared or to use for your own personal benefits and money kind of thing. So yeah, okay. Now that I got that out of the way, let's start. Injuries are a major concern for most militaries around the world. We demand a great deal from our military members, and injuries can have an impact on the members' health as well as the operational readiness. So having said that, the Brigadier General Colin McKay, who is a Surgeon General in the military, has helped develop with PSP and physiotherapy this program, the injury reduction strategies to help raise the issue and to help people not get injured. 90% of the injuries can be prevented. So just by giving some education and some tools and some equipment. So there's 1,001 reasons to stay healthy and to get moving. What are yours? Think of it for a minute. I know mine is to prevent illness, to be healthy so I can keep up with my kids who are 6 and 8 at the moment, to be able to have energy, to feel good about myself, to feel good in my skin, not necessarily for weight loss, but to have a healthy weight, to prevent disease. That's kind of the one why I'm moving. Other reasons may be for longevity, quality of life, self-respect. Some people may want to lose weight. Some people may want to gain weight. Some people may want it to relieve stress. That's a big one. Right now, there's a lot of stress happening into our world. Our world is we woke up into a different world all of a sudden, and we can't have a normal routine. So stress is high. What are we doing to maintain that stress? Are you working out? How are you working out? Your routine has changed. We're not able to go to the gym anymore. We're not able to play our sports, right? Because of what's going on with the COVID-19. So what are we doing? What have you done for your training program? Have you stopped training? I hope not. Modification is where we need to be. So we're going to give you some tips on how to modify your training programs without getting hurt, or to reduce the chances of getting hurt. So there are two types of injuries. And an injury is defined as bodily harm resulting in a sudden transfer of energy that exceeds the human's body's resistance capabilities. Okay? So there are two types of injury. There's a trauma, which is a car accident or a rolled ankle from playing a sport or tripping and falling. So that would be called an acute injury. And then you have the wear and tear injury, the repetitive strain injury. So that's overuse, the same motion over and over and over and over again. And eventually the wear and tear just wears down on the muscle and the joint. With either of these two types of injuries, there's swelling, loss of function, and pain. Okay, so that's when you know you kind of have an injury. Treatments are different, and I'll talk about the treatments a little bit later on. But the one thing you want to remember is that when you're hurt, it doesn't give you an excuse to stop moving and to stop exercising. That's a way for you to modify your routine. Okay, so you don't fall back all the way into lose your fitness level, I guess. You want to be able to modify without causing further injury and without aggravating. Main causes of injuries, can you think of it? Can you think of some reasons? Take a minute and think, what are some main causes of injuries? Whether it's sports, whether it's CrossFit, whether it's circuit training or running. So some major causes are a change in the program. So you completely change your routine and you go full speed and you don't progress. You don't give yourself enough recovery time. So often we just want to go, 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 go. We want to be the best. We want to be fast. We want to be strong. We want to be powerful. And we don't allow our body to recover enough. Recovery is part of becoming fit. If you don't allow yourself to recover, then you're not going to allow your muscles to grow and to repair and to get stronger. Our wrong attitude, believe it or not, our attitude has a big part of it. Wanting to take shortcuts, not heeding to your condition. If you're tired or you're injured or you're drinking a lot or you're smoking or you're not eating healthy, okay, those are wrong attitudes to have if you're trying to improve your performance and to reduce injuries. We're always looking to try shortcuts, okay? Whether it's trying some kind of new supplement or diet pill or whatever it may be, right? We never want to, we don't want to work hard at getting our goals, but you have to work hard to get to your goals. Inappropriate training programs or not following your program. How many of us go to the gym and decide what to do when we're there? Or we wake up in the morning and say, okay, today I'm going to go for a 15-kilometer run kind of thing, right? Or if you're doing a ruck march and then you're going to go for a run on the same day. Okay, those are inappropriate training needs, right? Too much high impact on the go. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a bit. Your equipment. I know people think equipment sometimes is a little silly to be wearing and you don't need to, or it's not going to happen. But equipment that's not worn or not properly adjusted to the person can be just as a risk of not wearing any equipment. Your goggles when you're playing badminton, right? So we have somebody on the base that has that eye injury from getting the shuttle into their eye, and now they have a permanent eye injury. So it does happen with the racket in the face or a softball in the head or whatever it may be. Improper running gear, right? If you're running in your combat boots. And then taking dietary supplements, ergogenic aids, right? Those are all things that kind of interfere with our natural body flow. And sometimes we're not able to gauge how our body's actually feeling, right? So those are the main causes of injuries, specifically in sports, okay? If you are injured and the symptoms are persistent and they don't go away, that's when you need to consult a healthcare provider, okay? For early intervention will prevent your symptoms from getting worse. So go see a healthcare provider when you have a small injury, and that will prevent your small injury from getting worse and turning into a big injury. I know right now it's kind of impossible to go see physio or healthcare, but I know that some doctors are doing phone appointments. But what we tend to do is we tend to go on Google and self-diagnose our problems, and we either minimize or overemphasize our injuries, right? We self-diagnose and we're not doctors and we're not always right. Okay. In the past 12 months, have you injured yourself seriously enough to limit your normal activities? Think about it. What were you doing when you got injured? Was it a battle-related activity? Were you on a military training exercise? Were you playing a sport or doing PT? Whether it's PT with your PSP staff or PT with the unit or PT on your own? Was it during your force test or your CSOR test or your firefighter test? Or was it something else? Okay, think about it. 44.1% reported an injury serious enough to limit their normal activities in the 12 months. That's almost half when you think of it. 42% reported musculoskeletal injury as a reason why they were not able to deploy in the previous 2 years. Musculoskeletal injuries are injuries that can be easily prevented by proper training routine, modifying your routine, listening to your body, right? Do you have any idea which exercise is most responsible for causing calf injuries in the Canadian Armed Forces? Running. Running is the number one repetitive strain injury in the Canadian Armed Forces. Yes, there's a lot of people that run, but per percentage wise, it's still the number one cause of injury. Running. Number two is weightlifting for repetitive strain. So that's the overuse injuries, the same movement over and over and over again where you get that wear and tear on the muscles. For your acute injuries, like your trauma, your accidents, Number one is hockey, and number two is soccer. That comes to no surprise. They're pretty high impact sports, right? But yeah, but half of these we can fix them. Other high-ranking prevalence of injuries are marching, so rock marching, weight training, martial arts, ringette, and CrossFit also have high risk of injuries. And a lot of time is because people, when they come in, they are either a weekend warrior where they don't do anything all week long or all summer long, and then they go and play hockey. They've never trained, they never conditioned, they never did anything except for sit on the couch, drink beer, do the odd thing here and there, and then all of a sudden they're playing hockey every weekend. Okay, so that's an example of when people are at high risk of getting injured, or they're going into a CrossFit routine, which is CrossFit is fine, but there's a progression. You need to progress. You can't jump into a routine and expect to follow the elite when you're deconditioned. And that's what people are doing. They're jumping into these high elite fitness routines when they're deconditioned and they're hurting themselves. So what can we do to avoid these injuries or to reduce the risk of injuries? Potentially modifying your fitness routine can decrease the risk of injuries by 30%. Or if you think of it, it's 4,100 reg force and 1,300 reservists with less injuries when you think of it that way. So what works for modified fitness training routine? First thing you're going to want to do is schedule with high and low impact days. High impact is considered something that's a lot of pressure on the joints, a lot of impact on the joints, like running, like soccer, like baseball, like CrossFit, that stuff, where there's a lot of impact on your joints and your muscles. A low impact day would be considered something like biking, walking, it would be even skating, right? Because you have that glide motion rather than that pounding motion. And then some light lifting weights, some yoga swimming would be something considered as a low impact day. And then we have running strategies. So there's more research out there about the running strategies, and Josh kind of talked about it yesterday in his Wisdom Wednesdays. He did a really good job talking about a running program, a learn to run program, if you're deconditioned or if you're coming from an injury, getting back into your routine. So that's very important to be able to progressively go from your running. Even if you used to be a marathon runner and you're injured, don't expect to be running back at that same caliber as you were before your injury. You're going to have to step back into your routine and kind of start over to prevent injuries again or from getting worse. So running strategies, we're going to talk about it again a bit more. Some quick tips to kind of give you for yourself so you can monitor when you're running. Key fitness program elements is another one. What does that mean? That means choosing the right exercises for whatever your event is. Making sure that your program, your PT program, your weight program, your full body workout program is balanced. That you're not just working the frontal plane, that you're working in the posterior plane, right? Often we're good at working our biceps, we're good at working our core, we're good at working our quads, but what about our back? What about our glutes? What about our feet? Okay, we tend to neglect those. So we want to be able to pick exercises that are going to make you stronger and more flexible and to balance your body. And then your last one is your sports protective equipment. Okay, so when we are able to get back and play our sports, make sure you wear the proper equipment. Even though those glasses and ball hockey fog up, they can save your eye, right? The research is there, and changes have been made, but more people need to be educated on this stuff. So here I am. So running strategies. You want to be able, like Josh mentioned, is to start with a 5-minute warm-up or a fast walking light jog warm-up. Or if it's something before running or whatever, it's a dynamic movement, not static stretching. So those of you who've been in the military for 30, 40 years or more, you guys used to train with static stretching. That's no longer the case. Static stretching should be coming after your workout. You want to be doing dynamic movements. You want to be doing movements specific to what you're about to do. So if you're about to play hockey or do some golfing, you're going to want to incorporate some rotational warm-up dynamic movements in there. Limit unit runs to once a month for a maximum of 30 minutes. So those 15-kilometer runs that you do every day should no longer be happening. Okay? Once a month, 30 minutes. That's with your unit PT. And that's because there's such a wide variety of fitness levels within a unit that people push themselves too hard to try to keep up with those in the front kind of thing. And they get hurt. Or if they're hurt already and they're forced to go to a unit run when they shouldn't be running, or they have an injury or whatever. Okay. So limit that to once a month for a maximum of 30 minutes. When you're doing endurance running, you don't want to be running in your combat boots. There's actually a Can4Jan or Can-Lan-Jan out there that says that you're not supposed to be doing endurance running in your combat boots. And by not doing endurance running, injuries have declined 30%. Shouldn't be running with a rucksack or with blues pants. Okay, so the rucksack adds pressure to your spine. And as you're running, that's high impact. And then with all that weight on your back, you're just compressing the vertebrae more in which every impact, which with time will cause wear and tear and cause injuries. Those blues pants that you guys wear over your boots and on your calves restrict blood flow. Okay, so when you're running with those blues pants, and when you're running, blood flow happens and the body just kind of swells up a bit to the blood is going through your body and swells a bit. And with those elastics around, it will restrict the normal blood flow that the body has to adapt to what you're doing for the exercise, and will cause problems. Okay, can cause restriction and poor circulation. Okay. Your running boots, why not running in your combat boots? You're going to be running in the field if you're overseas or whatever. You're not going to be running 15 kilometers or even 5 kilometers for that matter. You're going to be running for take cover, and then that's it kind of thing, right? The running boots, the combat boots have poor shock absorption properties, and they don't allow normal flexibility within your ankle. So they alter the biomechanics of your ankle and your feet. They compress the lower leg tendons and decreases the foot sensation when you're running on the surface. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why you don't want to be running. Okay, so short sprints are fine in your combat boots, but you're not going to be running 10K in battle. So efficient running. So next time you're running, whether it's on a treadmill or outside, I want you to pay attention to where your heel strikes. Okay. Typically, have you ever heard anybody run and they're really loud? Kind of like the elephant in the room. There's the saying they say. That's the heel toe strike. When you're running and you're running from a heel toe, you're kind of putting a lot of pressure on the ankle, the knees, the hips. And it's just pounding on those joints. What you want to try to do, and this takes time and it's progression, is little by little, is to change your foot strike when you're running. You're going to want to try to come in impact with the ground with your midfoot to your forefoot, not your heel. That will lower the impact. Okay, so you'll see the difference because you notice that your steps will be quieter. It shortens the time on ground with contact. Okay, so there's less time on the ground, meaning you're running faster. There's minimal vertical or rotational displacement. So if you're running and you're bouncing up and down and you're turning, you're wasting energy. Okay, if you're looking to improve, you're wasting energy if you're focusing on vertical displacement and rotational. By changing your foot cadence, your midfoot strike, your cadence will go faster. Okay? Believe me, it will. And your stride will change as well. Your posture will be taller. It won't happen overnight. It's going to take practice. The fitness staff is really good at looking at your gait pattern when you're running. So give it a try and see how it feels. Cushion running shoes interfere with the foot's natural interaction with the ground. So I maybe try, if you have healthy feet, try barefoot to see how it works. The cushion of the feet, you think of it as when you have cushiony sneakers, think of it as walking on pillows. You can't feel, your feet don't adjust to any picks or rocks or anything that's underneath, and therefore it's not activating the foot muscles properly. The feet don't feel what's underneath, therefore they can't activate the different metatarsals, the different muscles in your feet. Therefore, that creates a weakness. People get plantar fasciitis. People get heel spurs. People get all kinds of different problems because they have weak tendons, weak muscles in their feet. Part of it is because we are running shoes, our footwear, right? So try. If you have healthy feet, try walking around barefoot. And this is very progressive. And when I'm talking progressive, going from a cushiony foot to a minimalist shoe, for example, it's very progressive. I'm talking years, months and years, not weeks. Okay? So keep that in mind. So progress running slowly in terms of duration, frequency, and intensity. If you are doing other weight-bearing exercises on that same day, you're going to reduce the running time. Okay. And as I mentioned, if you're changing your techniques, for example, to barefoot running, you're going to be progressively doing so. So progression, how do you progress? Okay, there's a 10% rule. Increasing distance by 10%, or if you are injury prone, 3 to 5%. Even if you've been away from training for a bit, even if it's a week, okay, ramp up back slowly. Okay, don't expect to be back at where you were. Take a few steps back and then slowly progress. What to do if your body tells you no? Okay, we all have injuries. Have you heard of RICE? Rest, ice, compression, and elevation? Well, I have some news for you. That's no longer the newest research. All right, so our RICE is now turned into MCE. Okay, so you're going to use MCE if an injury occurs. M means to keep moving lightly. Change your activity, okay? But to keep moving, don't rest. C is compression. Add that compression, okay? If you need to use ice because of pain, then go for it. But compression. And then elevate, okay? Where's the ice? So the newest research is saying that, yes, ice reduces inflammation, but by reducing that inflammation, it delays the healing process, the natural body's response to healing, right? So yeah, so if you need ice, use it immediately after an injury for relieving pain, okay? Strong intervention, scientific supports is your modified training. Okay, so recruit schools have changed their modified their training programs, and injuries are 30% less. Especially when you go into the third and fourth week of your training program, this time for there to kind of slack back a bit, recover, and then move on. Other things that are proven to have a strong scientific base would be breakaway baseball bases, your bike helmets, and your outside ankle boots. Your semi-rigid ankle braces. They're not strong ankle braces, but if you are prone to rolling your ankle or you have weak ankles, this would be great for you to use to help prevent an ankle rotation or injury during high movement switch pace activities such as running, hockey, or maybe not so much hockey, but basketball, volleyball, and all that stuff. Things that don't work. Static stretching before an activity has been proven not to reduce injuries. Static stretching is great for mobility, great for afterwards, great for flexibility. We all need mobility into our daily life. So don't stop stretching, but just stretch after your fitness routine. What works is a proper warm-up, a dynamic warm-up. Orthotics, over-the-counter or custom mades, have not been shown to reduce injury rates. Okay? Running shoes tailored to the soldier's foot do not decrease injuries compared to the standard issue running shoe. So they're the same, right? Back support belts have not been shown to lower lower back injuries. And then your iron supplements. So you have people promoting iron supplements to help reduce injuries. Well, there's no scientific research on that, okay? If you have any questions, let me know. We'll send this, I can answer the questions afterwards, after the presentation. So what are injury predictors? If you've had a previous injury. Asymmetry, so if there's a difference in between left and right. Pain during your exercise. If you have pain during your movement, stop. No, you know the saying, no pain, no gain? Well, that's not true. Pain equals stop. Modify your movement. Do something else. And then dysfunctional movement patterns. Because our mobility is lacking for the most part of things, we're quick. Athletes want to build on strength, want to build on power. We're really good at that, but we tend to kind of forget about the basic movement pattern. Movement becomes habit, which becomes posture, which becomes a structure. And if our movement pattern is a bad habit, and that's what our body adapts to, then our alignment, our mobility is compensated, and we cause injuries and stress elsewhere in the body because they're compensating for the lack of movement and mobility and stability in other joints and muscles. And therefore, we go and we try to do a squat with a heavy bar when our mobility and our alignment and stability is not there, and then we get hurt. Okay. So when you're weightlifting, you want to be going through a full range of motion. Okay. Full range of motion to help reduce the injury, to help reduce compensations for other movements. Flexibility is an important yet often neglected component of health-related fitness. Adequate levels of flexibility are needed to maintain a functional independence and performance of activities of daily living, such as bending up and picking up a newspaper or getting into the backseat of a two-door car. Right? If we can't do that, if we can't get into the backseat of a two-door car, how can you expect to be doing an Olympic lift properly? Kind of thing. Okay, so I challenge you to assess your movement pattern, see how you're going, or talk to Josh, or talk to Susie or Morgan. They can help you with that. Okay, having limitations is in fundamental mobility and stability may affect the alignment, executing the exercise safely. So poor movement patterns, we're always hunching our backs. We're always buckling at the knees. Okay, whether you're doing a push-up and you're doing the snake kind of thing, those are all things that our mobility and stability is not there, are all indicators. I'm going to post some pictures here to kind of show you what your lifting technique kind of should be, what a proper technique is, and what an improper technique would look like. So the body adapts to daily activities, and you're thinking, well, I don't have poor posture or anything like that. So I'm just going to give you quick examples of what military, what they do day to day that could affect their daily activities, their body breakdown. So wearing combat boots 8 hours a day. This can limit the ankle mobility eventually, right? Ruck marching with 20 plus kilos can limit the thoracic mobility, right? That compression I was talking about earlier. Sports, Okay, when you're swinging or throwing and you're only doing one way, you're creating asymmetries. So it's important to train the other side as well. Injuries, whether it's regaining normal joint function. And if not, what other joints are compensating? PT. So you're sitting down all day, promotes you're sitting down all day, right? So now we're home a lot. We're probably sitting a lot more than what we're used to, or maybe not. Maybe if you had an desk job and working 8 hours a day there, maybe you're moving more. But by sitting down, you're shortening your hip flexors and you're weakening the posterior chain, your backside. So if you're always training the front, what's happening to the back? It's getting weak and it's causing dysfunction. So those are just quick examples right there of what military folks are doing every day that they may not even realize that is affecting their day-to-day performance. So make sure you do a 15, 20 minute sport-specific warm-up. So kind of to recap what we talked about here, incorporate landing routines, squatting, changing directions, and warm up to the more specific you can be to your sport or your activity with your warm-up, the better it is, okay? Especially for women. Okay, women, the bone density doesn't tend to be as strong as the men, so incorporating those landing is important. Research is showing that is decreased injuries for up to 40%. Okay, your progression, 5 to 10% rule. Okay, and then holding your stretch, your major muscle stretch groups at the end of your training for a minimum of 30 seconds. Okay. So running for 30 minutes 3 times a week versus 5 times a week. This was a study that was done. Reduce injuries up to 70%. 70%. And going from 45 minutes to 30 minutes reduced injuries to 55%. It's huge. So when you're thinking of when we go back to work and we do ruck marches, put your less fit people or your shorter people in the front. Let them set the pace. And if you are training, starting to walk, and you're doing a ruck march, you shouldn't be carrying more than 30% of your body weight. Anything more will cause microtrauma to your back and your spine. Core strength. I'm almost done. I know I'm going past my time here, but I'm on a roll, so I'm just going to keep going. Focus on core strength daily. Core strength is easily lost, and people neglect it. I know I don't like working on my core strength because it's a place that I know I need work on. It's easily lost. What is the definition of core? We've all heard about it, but what is core? Is the ability to maintain an ideal alignment of the neck, spine, scapula, which is your shoulders, and your pelvis while performing an exercise or a sport. Okay? So keeping those stabilized while you're moving is what we call core stability. How to build your core stability? Isometric exercises. Use bands. Use your body weight. Free dynamic exercises. Use free weights, a stability ball, and whole body exercises. Sports, physical activity. Okay? Sit-ups are a no. I know we train doing sit-ups with our PT test, our express test, our step test, our all kinds of different testing. Sit-ups are no. Okay? It's causing a lot of force on that back. A lot of people are getting back injuries from it on the lower spine, and it's just putting too much pressure on that spine. You want to be able to do isometric exercises, dynamic exercises, and whole body exercises. Yes, it's still part of our testing at some of them, but you can train your core efficiently without doing sit-ups. And so sit-ups for once in a while is fine. And sit-ups, if you can keep a neutral spine, is okay. But the majority of us, when we fatigue, we keep going and we round our back, and then that's when we cause pressure and we cause pain. So it is recommended to avoid repetitive trunk flexion exercises, and when possible, explore alternate strengthening exercises. Okay, so pick your core exercises carefully to avoid back injuries. Again, I'm going to have a slide here at the end of the presentation to kind of give you examples of how you could train your core without frontal trunk flexion. Did you know that sitting with a poor posture, as I fix my posture, for 20 minutes decreases your core strength for 20%? 20 minutes of sitting with poor posture decreases your core strength by 20%. That's a lot. So for those of us who have a desk job, who sit all day long, who drive trucks, think about that. How much sitting you do in the course of a day. Okay, so it's important to take those stretch breaks. Sitting too long without standing is not good. So for example, if you are sitting for more than 6 hours a day, even if you exercise, you are 40% greater chance of dying within 15 years than someone sitting for less than 3 hours. You're increasing your chance of cancer, cardiovascular disease, and diabetes by sitting for 6 hours or more without standing breaks. So by incorporating standing breaks into your daily routine at work, at home, is easy. It's a quick change. After sitting for just a few minutes, this is what happens. The leg and back muscles, electrical activity shuts off. Body blood flow is reduced. Back stiffness builds up. Calories burn drop to 1 per minute. Enzymes that break down fat drop to 90%. Blood tests, so after 2 hours, blood tests show that 20% reduction of the good cholesterol and 20% less performance of insulin and glucose levels. So frequent 1 to 2 minute standing breaks will eliminate the effects of prolonged sitting. Do it. Get up, get a sit-stand desk, walk around, take little breaks, walk to your friend, walk to the post office, walk to the offices next door when we can get back to social togetherness again. But if you're working from home, like I am right now, take some breaks. Get up, move around. Make sure you're sitting at a desk that's proper, that you're not slouched on the couch. Okay? So all in a nutshell, while modifying physical fitness training is critical for injury prevention, I cannot overemphasize that daily physical training is important. It reduces the incidence of injury. It reduces chronic disease such as diabetes, obesity, high blood pressure, cancer, can help with depression and heart disease. It doesn't have to be full-blown marathon running, heavy lifting every day. Some kind of physical activity, and remember to alternate from heavy to light. So a couple facts that I can give you on physical activity and injuries. Inactive people will get injured at home or at work. Active adults are going to get prone to be injured during sports or leisure time. No brainer, right? Irregular fitness participants, so those hockey warriors, weekend warriors kind of thing, 56 times greater of a chance of cardiac arrest during vigorous exercise, especially in men. So if you plan on playing hockey next year, start training now. Get moving. Regular fitness participants are 5 times greater chance of cardiac arrest during vigorous activities compared to other times of the day. Active adults, 25 to 50% lower risk of cardiovascular or other chronic disease, right? So train smart. Take the benefits. Be active. Our life today is very stagnant, so move around. Our bodies are made to move. More facts. Regular physical activity reduces the risk of heart disease by 40%, lowers the risk of stroke by 27%, Reduces incidence of high blood pressure by almost 50%. Incidences of diabetes by almost 50%. Right? So it just keeps going. Colon cancer by 60%. Alzheimer's disease by 1/3. Helps decrease depression as medication and behavioral therapy. And protects from depression symptoms by 30%. So they get nothing to lose by becoming physically active. Reflect on your own injury prevention habits. What are you doing to prevent injuries? Are you careful? Are you wearing your protective equipment when you're supposed to? Are you doing a progressive program? Are you doing a full body training strength program to go with your running program or your swimming routine? How can you reduce your risk? Do you have a solid foundation? Ask yourself that. Do you have a solid foundation? Are you executing full body movements? Are you able to move fluently without pain? Are you able to stabilize your body while you're doing a movement? Functional patterns. Can you function? Do you have strength and then power? Have you worked on those in those orders? Or have you gone straight to strength or straight to power and neglected the rest? Minimum recommendations for physical activity is 4 to 7 days a week. 90 minutes of vigorous effort, unable to have a conversation. 90 minutes a week of vigorous activity. 150 to 180 minutes of moderate. So you're breaking a sweat, but you can still carry on a conversation. Strength training should be done 2 to 4 days a week, and your flexibility should be done 4 to 7 days a week. Little bits adds up. So for a quick overview, 80 to 95% of all injuries are preventable. Training should be consistent, have variety, progression, moderation, and exercise selection. Your fitness staff can help you with that. Equipment reduces the equipment when wearing properly reduces the risk. And nutrition, maximizing performance and enhance recovery. Your nutrition foundation. What you eat every day will help your performance and reduce injuries rather than game time, for example. So this is what I have for you for our injury prevention talk. I know it's a lot more than a half an hour, but I hope you enjoyed it. We are here every Thursday morning at 10 o'clock. Today we did talk about our injury. We have 4 different pillars that we talk about. Our courses are from injury prevention and active living, nutrition wellness, social wellness, which we talk about communication, managing angry moments, stress, also addiction awareness and prevention. So our topics will be around those, I guess we could say. Having said that, I know Lisa had done a Get Up challenge. I had not had the time to practice that between 2 young kids and homeschooling and work and learning technology. Lisa, I'm sorry, I did not have a chance to practice the Get Up challenge. But I do have a little song for you guys. I figured since everybody is trying to lift spirits up and we're trying to just make people laugh because it's pretty serious out there right now, I'm going to sing you a song that I wrote when I first got the job at Health Promotion. I haven't sang it in a while, so bear with me. But I wrote this for my interview. These are the 5 action areas of health promotion. Now listen up and go with the motion. Building a healthy public policy or deal with the greater penalty. Creating a supportive environment where everyone's health takes predominant. Strengthening your community action by promoting participation. Developing new and personal skills by mandating healthier drills, reoriental services away from disease, and focus your attention towards health promotion, please. Now if you need, I can sing the song again to reinforce the charter actions. May I have a show of hands, if you please, if you want me to stop. That's the end. I'm out. Stay safe, hang in there, and we'll be back.